Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian take on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, JA, and I'm joined by the great man himself, Richie Garraway. How are you, buddy?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. It's been, look, we're just going to address the elephant in the room. It's been a couple of weeks. We got extremely busy after the Super Bowl. It was, pretty wild couple of weeks for us. We're obviously in the heat of our football season, which, so everyone understands, our playing season normally doesn't happen at this time. We're dealing with a whole different kettle of fish right now with football, trying to get people right for COVID and that. So it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm very excited that we can get together and do a bit of we'll talk Super Bowl, obviously, but if you don't know what happened in the Super Bowl by now and if you need more opinions on the Super Bowl, I feel sorry for you. So we'll give you a couple of quick takes on that. And then we'll talk some basically a bit of a season review, talk about the awards, some off-season storylines that have come up now since the Super Bowl and do that sort of stuff. Before we get going, I want to thank our beautiful friends at Burnley Brewing. I want to thank our friends at J&D's Breaks Down Under. Thank you to Jake and Darren as they continue their fantastic sponsorship. There is a helmet draw tomorrow, guys. I haven't got it yet, so I don't want to give it away, but it's coming in the next couple of days. So as soon as I've got it, I'll do the draw. And again, it's going to be a quality mini signed helmet from the boys at J&D's Breaks Down Under. Everyone go in there and give them a follow. Also, Dark Horse Electrics, the best electrician in, I think, the world, but I'm biased. He's absolutely outstanding. So get on to Dylan if you need any electrical work done in Melbourne. And also US Sports Gear. Head to ussportsgear.com.au and have a look at all their stuff. The best importer of football playing gear in Australia. And you can also get some great replica helmets as well. Make sure you support all our sponsors. Get in there. Give them a follow. And make sure they feel the love. But Richie, let's go straight into the Super Bowl, mate. Rams take the Super Bowl. I feel very blessed after this playoffs. It's been a terrific playoff run. I was waiting for the crap week to come, and it didn't come. And I'm really happy about that. Really happy.
I think it was a wildcard weekend. We got it out of the way straight away.
Yeah.
And then, so good. I mean, look, the Super Bowl wasn't a fantastic game by any stretch. The key thing was it was close, which keeps it interesting all day. I have watched it again since. Obviously not real time because Jesus Christ, they jam a lot of ad breaks in. But I actually don't think it was as close as the score showed. I mean, throw a face mask penalty on that Bengals touchdown, and it's a really, really different game. The quality of football was not great early. I think the first half was pretty sloppy by both teams. But there was in a period during the third quarter and early fourth where it was exceptional by both teams. It really started to get going. So, look, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a nice cherry on top of the season. I thought the playoffs, obviously, besides wildcard weekend, were incredible. It's a shame. I don't think the best two teams were in the Super Bowl, but hey, that's football. That actually happens all the time. If you actually go back and look, it really happens all the time. But I still think they put on a good game. And we said the whole time, Cincinnati was a team of destiny, and you need things like pulling Jalen Ramsey's head off and catching a touchdown pass to go right for you to 100%. Be the team of destiny and to get the win. And they fucking still nearly did it. And if Aaron Donald had been half a second slower, there was a wide open Jamar Chase streaking down the sideline who could have very well caught a touchdown and who knows. So
I had such a problem that play too.
I'll come to that in a sec. I'll just finish my thing.
Yep.
You and I had a lot of eggs in the Cincinnati basket because we wanted it to happen more than anything. But that to the Rams, I mean, Cooper Kupp is amazing. Full stop. And I think it's a validation of McVay after that really bad earlier Super Bowl that now hopefully that'll kind of disappear a bit in his resume. Because that one against Patriots, that was so bad. So hopefully that'll start to disappear a little bit, and he'll just be remembered for being a innovator of offenses and really changing how it's played.
McVay lost to the Patriots, remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was an awful game. He got schooled. So hopefully that one disappears. This one will be the one that's remembered. He'll always be remembered now as a Super Bowl winning coach. Apparently, he turned down a ton of cash to retire and go onto TV. Why the hell would you do that? That money will be waiting for you whenever you want to retire.
Yeah.
So keep coaching. You might be able to run it back. Sorry, I'll put one last thing on. There are two really interesting storylines coming out of this Super Bowl that I find the most interesting, and it's got nothing to do with the players or anything like that. One, it's the Rams' complete lack of value in first-round picks, where they say, well, yeah, first-round picks miss all the time. Look, quarterbacks, they miss even more than they can tell you that. So they're like, well, we'll put value in a commodity that we know, rather than a commodity that we don't. So that's one really interesting thing. Then the other interesting thing is Cincinnati, who are renowned for the cheapest team in the NFL. They have 6 scouts. That's it. It's an NFL team with 6 scouts. Its college teams have more recruiters than that. Just perennially always cheap. And people are saying, oh, they're playing the metrics and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you didn't. You hit 2 perfect draft picks and got fucking lucky. And I hate to be that guy, and we'll talk about who'll go back and who won't. This could fall in a heap really fast for Cincinnati.
I agree. I'm looking forward to
They are cheap. They always pay the floor. They pay just above the floor to not get fined. They're just cheap. So they're not going to go out, spend a fortune to try and run it back. I guarantee it.
No, I don't think they would either. Talking about the last play of the game with Aaron, it was funny because everyone kind of knew the offensive line was going to bite them in the ass at some point. And
he got hit plenty of times.
Yeah, it certainly did get him in the big way at the end. But I just want to talk about the scheme there. The center slid to Aaron Donald, which means that the left guard had his outside shoulder. And he let him beat him outside. He didn't slide to the outside. You can see the center almost pushing him to get over. And I thought straight away, how do you not double Aaron Donald on that play? And I was right. They tried to double him. The guard just stuffed it up. And I just think these guys are NFL football players, and I don't think there's been enough. You can. Yes, Aaron Donald's a great player, and maybe he beats that double team. Maybe he beats the guard anyway if he does the right thing. But it just shows on the biggest stage in the biggest moment that even these professional guys can make horrible mistakes. Horrible mistake. Because even, as you said, even if he'd allowed another half a second, if he'd got any sort of hand on him to slow him down, it's probably a touchdown and the Bengals win. Because you can see him winding up to throw to Jamar Chase, who is wide open because Jalen Ramsey had fallen over again. And then just imagine the narrative of beat Aaron Donald not being able to sack him and Jalen Ramsey getting beat by Joe Burrow. And it's a completely different thing we're talking about right now. But, and I said, that's terrible. Like that player, he's going to watch that and think, yeah, I really stuffed that up. And I don't understand as an offensive lineman, again, at a very low level compared to these dudes, I don't understand how you make that mistake. Like if you've got an outside shoulder, it blows my mind. But they do make those mistakes at that level, and you see it at that level. Guys who are professionally or paid a lot of money to do it, and that was the thing. And then, as you said, I thought the Rams were the better team on the day. I thought the Bengals were a team of destiny, and as you said, they almost were. They were close, but the Rams were a much more well-rounded football team. They're stronger in almost every area, and they probably deserved it in the end. Burrow didn't have a great day. Cooper Kupp was probably the difference in the game, and I'm glad he got MVP. His last couple of drives were unbelievable after being stopped. And apparently what happened was they went no huddle, and Stafford actually started calling the plays, and McVay just go to Cooper Kupp every time. That's the game. Find the
crazy
and get it to him.
The crazy thing is, so many people are saying, and me included, I must admit, when I was just watching, I'm like, how do you not double team him? Double team that guy. He's the only guy they got. Beckham's out. The rest of the guys I've never heard of. Just double him. I went back and watched the All-22. They were. They were double teaming. It still was getting open. Look, he had an incredible playoffs. I mean, he was double covered on that Tampa one too. And he caused one of them to fall over in his little juke move at the top of his stem.
Yeah,
he's so good. Like, he's so special. And to consider this is a guy out of the University of Washington who's not high touted, taken in the third round, classic no scholarship offers, coming out of high school, all that stuff. And he can identify what is going on the field so fast that he just knows where he needs to get open, no matter the route or the concept, without screwing anybody else up. It's a pretty special talent that he has to go along with all the physical attributes that he obviously has.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said, I think the Rams are the better team. The Beckham injury quickly, I did feel sorry for him. He'd obviously worked really hard to get there. He scored a touchdown. But it kind of felt like a bit of poetic justice at the same time. Am I an asshole for thinking that? I just feel like,
no
detriment to teams, and it was a bit of payback for it in a way, I think. The football.
You may remember the message I sent you on Super Bowl day when it happened of what my wife said that I'm not going to repeat. It was pretty funny from a Browns fan point of view, and how they feel, because they're like, where was this effort for us? Yeah. So, look, I mean, I don't know. He's got a long way to come back. It's obviously his second.
He'll be at the Rams next year. I almost guarantee it.
I think so too. On a one-year prove-it deal, he'll miss, I don't know, 10 weeks, maybe, of the season. So that'll leave him 7 odd games to try and help him run it back. They might have Woods for the start of the year, but if they had the 2 of those guys, I should say, to go along with Cooper Kupp, I wouldn't have liked Cincinnati at all going into that game.
Didn't have Tyler Higbee in that game too, the tight end. Yeah. Now, is he an amazing tight end? No, but he's still a starter, and he's much better than the backup.
And he knows that offense inside and out. Higbee's productive in that offense. If you just went and tossed him into, I don't know, Arizona's, who knows? Yeah.
Well, look, it was a really good Super Bowl. I enjoyed the day. I enjoyed the game. I always do, but it was exciting and close, and I was excited when Aaron Donald made the final play, because that's what big players do. And it's funny, it went from one of the greatest players in the league making a huge play, but I said if he was a second slower, it could have been one of the greatest players in the league getting beaten in Jalen Ramsey. So they almost lost on one of their best players. Instead, their other one bailed them out, and that's what football is sometimes. Sometimes you blow your coverage, but the sack gets there, and they never get it to them. And that's the beauty of having 11 guys on the field. You're not just reliant on one player to make it. So it was really good. Let's talk more likely to return. I think we're going to have a similar answer here. You tell me who you think's more likely out of these two.
I think it's the Rams, and it's by a long way, really long way.
Could not agree more.
First off, neither of their divisions are easy, but the Rams have got more talent to compete with their division, whereas the AFC North, it's always hard. Mm-hmm. There is no way that the Ravens are going to suffer those kind of injuries again and just be weird.
Steelers might be better on offense next year, and their defense will still be strong. And
that's what I was going to say.
They might pop up and be great again.
Exactly. So, and you've got all that. And whilst, yes, you do have an exceptional quarterback, a generational quarterback, and an extremely good receiver core, you played an organization that is tighter than a fish's asshole.
Yeah.
Like, these guys just don't spend money. They just don't. Even all those years of them losing in the first round with Andy Dalton. And that's a guy, Andy Dalton, they got lucky with Andy Dalton. They took him in the second round.
Yeah.
You know, and he just turned out to be pretty good. Like, he was a pretty good player.
I'd argue he's probably longevity wasn't there, but he's had Oh, it's probably harsh. He's I think he's
Yeah, he
been
was around for years. The biggest is, but
slightly worse.
they never went and got. They never go and get high price free agents. They never
No,
take a chance. They never look at their
signed
roster.
mid-level. Like, and this year it paid off. You know, Awuzie from the Cowboys ended up being okay. Like, was he amazing? No, but he was okay. He was solid. Eli Apple, yeah, probably hurt him in the
He's
in the
bounced
Super
all around the
Bowl.
league though. He's not a high profile
Yeah,
free
but
agent.
they sign mid-tier free agents and they hope they work out. The offensive line's a huge issue, and it continues to be a huge issue. And they're not going to have an early pick. I saw someone do a mock draft the other day that was literally just offensive linemen in every single pick, and that's what they should.
Funny.
That's what they should do. They should draft. They should try and pay an Eric Armstead to come and play left tackle for him. Move Williams to right tackle. There's 2 positions filled. Try and sign a guard. Draft a couple. Draft a center. Just go nuts.
Overpay. You've got the cap room. Overpay and draft guys.
Front load an Eric Armstead contract. Pay him.
That's what I was going to say.
A year for 2 years, and then let it drop off. So once Burrow's out of his rookie deal, you can move away from it if he's not.
100%. You have so much money in next year's cap. Just front load these guys. If it doesn't work out, it'll drop off. You're not going to have to worry about it. The only thing they have to worry about is actually paying it, you tight asses. So pull your bloody figures out and pay somebody, take advantage of this generational guy you've got. Otherwise, you're not
Jamar
going
Chase.
back.
You've got 4 years of Jamar Chase, and I think they've only got 1 more year of Tyler Boyd and 2 more years of Higgins. Or was Higgins the same as Burrow? I think Higgins
I generally would have to look it up. I don't remember.
Yeah, so he's going into his third. Higgins is going into his 3rd year. So he's got 2 more years of Higgins and Burrow, and then 1 more year of Boyd on this contract. And then Chase is going to want a deal. You can 5th year option him, but he's going to want
option him.
Well, but it's a problem. They can't do it anymore. Players then hold out. They hold out and say, "I'm not coming back." Then they don't like
it. But those issues are 2 years away.
Exactly. So load up.
All these issues are 2 years. Load up for the next 2 years and have a red hot go. Surely, I can't remember who their owner is. Surely he's got the money to just pour it in for 2 years. You got to find $40 extra million in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
and that's all you got to do. Stop being a tight ass.
On the flip side, I think we both agree the Rams are more talented, but the Rams are very front loaded. Very, very front loaded. Like, I don't think Von Miller, I'm pretty sure Von Miller's out of contract. I don't think he comes back. I don't think they can afford him if he wants to come back. So unless he becomes back on a team friendly deal to help, like, because he wants to win again. Ramsey and Donald soak up a ton of the cap. Stafford soaks up a ton of the cap. Cup is going to want money soon. I would say he's going to get some sort of extension. Then you've got to bring Beckham back. Woods isn't under contract, but you've got Havenstein getting paid a lot. Whitworth being paid a lot. Like, Whitworth's 42, and apparently he's going again.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't be that comfortable.
That's my age.
Unbelievable.
Like, literally my age.
Andrew Whitworth is 40 years old. Sorry. He was born 12th of December, 1981.
81. Yeah.
And he's
a couple of years younger than me.
He is under contract still. Yeah. And he also won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, which is pretty cool. I love Andrew Whitworth, so I hope he stays. But you've got a 40-year-old you're going to be paying a lot of money to as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then all your, tier 2 players, because they've got so many top-tier guys, they're the guys you can't bring back because you can't afford them, because other teams are going to overpay to make them their tier 1 guys in their cap. So you're not going to be able to compete. So I think they've got the talent in the core, but they're going to need to draft really well with late picks, which they've done a decent job at in the past. It's a bit of a crapshoot at that point, but they've done okay with it. Taylor Rapp was a good pick in the 3rd round. I think DJ Reader was a later pick for them, who's a starter. Gaines was a later pick for them, who's a starter at D tackle. So they can do it, but it's harder, and it gets harder and harder. And then, you've got the other fight. You just under the cap. Like, what does Odell Beckham want for a 1-year deal? I'd say he probably still wants 13 or 14 million. Like, he'll still want high-end receiver 1 money for a year. So you've got that thing. So look, I think they'll be.
Do you want to guess how much cap space they got right now?
The Rams?
Yep.
I think they'd be over the cap by about 20 million if I had to guess.
Yeah, over the cap by 21 million. That's what they've got to clear out.
There you go. Fuck,
for this upcoming season.
Isn't it shit when you guess something so well that then people are going to be like, "Oh, he knew that." But they're going to make some. They're going to make some things happen.
We could double down. You could guess how much your Cowboys are over the cap by.
I think I have seen this. I think they're about 40 million, aren't they?
Nah, it's only 22. The highest is the
really?
Saints, which is 42 million. I think the
They
Saints are going
cleared
to
34
suck
million.
next year.
They cleared 34 million in cap today with contract reshuffles, and they're still like 18 million over the cap. Unbelievable.
No, I don't want that job. I actually think that team's going backwards fast.
Who got it? Did someone get it yet?
I have no idea.
It's terrible. We are an NFL podcast.
There's somebody yelling at their thing right now. Dennis Allen.
Oh, they gave it to Dennis Allen. Oh my god! Everyone, go back and look at the last time when he was the Oakland Raiders coach. It went real well. Anyway, good luck to him. He was their DC anyway, so we'll
Just another
see.
white guy retread.
Yeah. Let's go
Always get a
to
second chance.
always, mate. Mind you, Flores accepted a job as the linebackers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, and what a surprise! The other black coach in the league. Give me a break.
Yeah,
I don't like how he's now going about this lawsuit. That's totally different. But that's where he has to get his lifeline from. What a joke!
It sucks, doesn't it? It sucks.
Yeah,
He's
he's such a coach. He can come coach us
in the league. Yeah, he took the shittest team in the league, like perennial shit team, to 2 winning seasons out of his 3 seasons, and now he has to be the Steelers linebackers coach.
Look, he's clearly a salty dude and probably a little hard to deal with, but fuck, he's an NFL head coach. Get on with it.
I know some Gridiron Victoria coaches that are hard to deal with.
Mm.
Plenty of them, actually. You being one of them, you jerk.
Ah, piss off. I'm easy to deal with.
Let's talk Stafford. The talks are now come up about is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer? Let's say first, as of now, I don't think he is. And Richard Sherman had a really good point, and I'm not sure if you listened to his podcast before, Richie. It's fucking unbearable. But if you ever want to listen to it, he had a good point on Stafford. I don't love the show. It's if he ever wants to come on ours though, feel free and want me on his. Of course, I'll do it. But it's not my style of show. He's very argumentative and opinionated. I don't love that. But his thing was, and he's right. The Hall of Fame is so diluted now. It's so fucking diluted. Like basically, you've just got to have a few passing yards and you're in, or win a Super Bowl. Like literally, if as soon as you win a Super Bowl, everyone's like, "Oh, well, he's a Hall of Famer now." Like, when did that become the ultimate barometer for an individual position? Like, can I bring up Eli?
Okay, let me roll this back. Well, he's not a Hall of Famer, so just hold your horses. How many quarterbacks do you think are in the Hall of Fame?
I know this is like 24 or something, like 27, isn't it? Maybe 26. I heard this other day.
It's 26.
Yeah, 26.
It's 26.
Yeah.
How many bad ones do you think are in there? Seriously?
None. None of them are bad.
Okay.
Eli Manning would be the first. I think there'd probably be a couple.
Well, stop it. He's not in yet. So stop that.
It'd be a couple of average ones in there, I'd say. Like that. Was it Snake that got in there? What was his name? That played for the Raiders. Like he was just pretty mediocre, but he won a Super Bowl, so they threw him in. I don't know. I don't know a lot of these.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. So you got people like, in all honesty, some of the worst are probably people like Terry Bradshaw, but he won 4 Super Bowls in a non-passing era. So what are you supposed to do? Basically, 5
quarterbacks per decade.
Quarterbacks per decade. That's roughly what it's going to be.
So put it. All right. Well, let's talk.
So he's going to retire in the 2021. So it's too early to really sort of put him in or out. But over the next few years, some of the people who have to go in, or Manning, sorry, has already just gone in. But you got to put in people like Breeze, Roethlisberger.
Manning just went in.
Yeah. Well, we're going to joke about this later, but obviously Tom Brady at some point will have to go in. He should also then get put at the front saying this is the greatest football player of all time under it as well. But there's, I don't know. I mean, shit, maybe Eli does get in, but there's no bad quarterbacks on this list. Like Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Warren Moon. Like Joe Namath is probably one of the worst. But
terrible. In that era, though.
But that's the whole thing. He changed the game, and he created. There's people who give him credit for creating the NFL and the Super Bowl for what it is now, by being in the other competition, saying, "No, we can hang with these guys. We can hang with the NFL." Because for those who don't know, that the Jets were in the forgot the name of the old comp. It's late. AFC or whatever the hell it was called before that, the American Football League or whatever it was. But like Roger Staubach, Bart Starr, Kenny Stabler, Johnny Unitas. I mean,
But
Steve Young. I mean, what are we doing here? These guys are great.
Talking about Stafford, though, I think if he goes on and maybe wins another Super Bowl and has 5 more years throwing for 5,000 yards a season, he's already 11th in all-time passing.
I thought he was higher than that.
No, he's 11. Maybe 9th. Well, and Matt Ryan's 7th. But at least Matt Ryan's won an MVP. He was awesome the year he played.
Yep.
Eli Manning's never sniffed an MVP. I don't think Stafford's ever come close to an MVP.
And quite frankly,
I'd prefer Andrew Luck to go in than Stafford. I think Andrew Luck Russell
Luck's
Wilson.
Not a whole, no, I don't think those two are any more stand out above anyone else. And not that I dislike Russell Wilson, but I do a little bit because he kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Who would you put in, Matt Ryan or Stafford? Who do you think is more deserving?
I think Matt Ryan is more deserving. I also think he's a better quarterback over the body of work. But neither one of them are done.
No, that's true. That's true.
This is what I'm talking about. I don't like arguing about current day players because what's going to happen is when they retire, a couple of years go past, and I'd say to you, "Oh, JA, you've got the Colts coming to town this week," and you'd be like, "Fucking Peyton Manning, we're going to fucking lose."
Yeah,
that's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Stafford's
those guys are Hall of Fame.
Oh God,
Stafford coming into town, I'd be like, "Cool." Eli Manning's coming into town. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fear those guys.
Is Strahan and Osu Manura playing on the D line? Because that's all I ever worried about.
Yeah, exactly.
No one went, oh shit, Eli Manning, and really what cost a couple of Super Bowl losses. But look, I think right now, no, he's not a Hall of Famer, and I think they do need to look at how they put people in. I think they put too many in every year. I think that's the problem. They put 7 guys in every year.
No, there's 5.
5.
It's 5, isn't it?
Isn't it 5 players, a GM, and like a coach every year?
Yeah, well, who cares about those 2? Stafford's not going to qualify for either of them.
No, 5. Yeah, so 5 players. Yeah, you're right. I think it's maybe too many. But then again, in saying that, like they put a referee in the Hall of Fame this year. There's some dudes on the referee,
but he doesn't take one of the players' 5 spots.
No, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it was a kicker. Sorry, a kicker got put in the Hall of Fame this year, and Zach Thomas can't get in. Like,
you're telling me. You're telling me. Well, no, your argument for Zach Thomas should be against Brian Urlacher, whose stats are every bit as good and should be in, and Urlacher probably should be out.
My argument is that both of them should have been in before, or both of them went in, but Urlacher deserved to be in because he was one of the most dominant players in the league, and Zach Thomas had longevity and a career of being dominant too, and should be in. Now, was he first ballot? No. I think it's embarrassing that Terrell Owens wasn't a first ballot player.
I don't think that matters. No one's going to remember.
But he holds.
It says Hall of Famer, not Hall of Famer third time around.
But it's that there's too much power in it. I don't love the Hall of Fame. I don't appreciate it. I don't respect it as much as probably I should.
I think you're a little stuck in the weeds in that if you go and look at that first class that he wasn't included in, and you say, okay, who do I take out to get him in? Because there might have been a couple of guys who were on their last year. And if you're a voter, you're like, fuck, I have to get these 2 in. Otherwise, I don't get another chance. Whereas I can get T.O. in the following year.
Yeah, that's fair.
And now maybe there is some, fuck T.O., I don't like him. I'm sure there was a bit of that too. But as a whole, I like the fact that only 5 get in. And I got no problem with kickers or punters getting in if they deserve it. You think Vinatieri, when he's eligible, shouldn't be in? Justin Tucker shouldn't be in? They're 2 of the finest kickers of all time, and they probably should go in at some point. So every year, only 5 making it. If you go and look at last year, the guys who didn't make it, there's some fucking good football players on there. And in their prime, if that's your team, you're going to win a lot of football games. So I don't have a real issue with it. I think Stafford will struggle unless he can put together an MVP type year or another Super Bowl, I think that'll probably do it. But right now, I don't see any way how he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it could change definitely, but as of right now, absolutely
That's the
not.
thing. He could play for 5 more years. I mean, who the hell knows?
How old is Matt Stafford? I don't think he's that old at all.
It's not that old. Not
He
the way.
is 34 years old. He could play for 6 more years.
I think Brady's a bit of an outlier, but
Brady's 45.
he's,
Of course, he's an outlier.
he could certainly go for a few more.
Yeah.
And the way
in a good offense with good players.
And you don't get blindsided on your knee and stuff anymore. I mean, all those things play to his advantage. So, and let's not forget when he was in Detroit, he did have one of the best receivers of his generation, and couldn't do anything with him.
That's true. He had some good players in Detroit. They weren't always terrible. I think people have this mindset they had terrible players all the time. They were probably poorly coached and they're a pretty crappy organization, but there was some talent there and he couldn't drag them along. Calvin Johnson's probably the best receiver ever, in my opinion. I know Jerry Rice has had more years and more stats, but he was the most dominant guy I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy line up on the goal line and have 3 players play on him because they knew they would do it and still not be able to stop him.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Let's go over to some guys who had a lot of trouble stopping this season, and let's do some season awards. Let's start with the AP Defensive Player of the Year, presented by Castrol Edge, Richie, just letting you know. Pittsburgh Steeler, TJ Watt. I was happy for this guy. I think it was his turn. It could have easily been Aaron Donald again, but I was really happy that TJ Watt got it. He had a terrific year. He almost broke the sack record, and he missed 4 games throughout the season. So if he plays 4 games, he probably breaks it comfortably. I think it was definitely deserved, and it's hard to have an argument against it.
Yeah. Sorry, I got nothing to add. He was awesome. He deserved it.
100%
done.
Deserved. The Offensive Rookie of the Year, presented by NFL All Day, was Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase. Again, if anyone's got an argument for this, I would love to fucking hear it because I don't understand he ever argued this point. No one else was close as a rookie. Like Mac Jones, none of the quarterbacks were amazing. Mac Jones was probably the best performer of a lot of them due to he played every game, all that sort of stuff. And in another year, he probably has a chance. But Jamar Chase was unbelievable. He broke, like last year, everyone was like, Justin Jefferson broke the receiving yard record. Why didn't he get it and Jamar Chase got it? Well, last year, Justin Herbert also broke the passing touchdown record for rookies. So he broke the record as a quarterback. So you got to look at what trumps what. Quarterback statistics will always trump every other position. And then Jefferson broke a record, which trumps, but then Herbert broke the record for quarterback, so it trumps it. This year, no one else was close to Jefferson, to Jamar Chase, and it was certainly well-deserved. It's almost impossible to argue that one. Do you reckon someone out there would argue it? There'd be someone, wouldn't there?
Somebody will just get a hot take in there, but they're a moron.
Agreed. The other one was AP Offensive Player of the Year. In other words, the non-quarterback offensive award. And again, if you've got an argument for this one, I would love to fucking hear it. Cooper Kupp from the Rams. I think
the only argument here is could he have been the MVP? That's probably the only argument.
I think if this year proves. Let's talk MVP when we get to MVP, which is the last one, because I agree with you. He certainly had a case for it, and he was outstanding. But I think it's basically you're not a quarterback, so you can't win MVP, but you were the next best player on offense, so you get this award. Because otherwise, in my mind, the MVP would get the Offensive Player of the Year award. If they wanted it to be just a fair award, whoever won the MVP, if they were an offensive player, they'd get the offense, and if they were a defensive player, they'd get the defensive. It doesn't make I'd be interested to see if a defensive player won MVP. Do you reckon he's allowed to win Defensive Player of the Year as well?
No, didn't they change it?
I don't think you can win both. Well, I know you can't win offensive because remember when the MVP used to be the offensive.
Didn't Matt Ryan win both? And that's when they got rid of it. Yeah.
The Defensive Rookie of the Year, Micah Parsons from the Cowboys. Again, would love to hear arguments on this. He was in the running. I'm glad. Don't think he deserved it, but he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year with probably 3 or 4 games left. TJ Watt kind of ran over the top of it and deserved it, but certainly was the best rookie defensive player by far. And you could probably argue his season was as impactful and as impressive as Jamar Chases on the offensive side. Like, if he'd played defensive end every snap, he probably gets 20 sacks. I think he ended up with 14, and he only plays 20% of his snaps there. So he was pretty incredible. He's a guy I watched a lot of, and I didn't love the pick because I thought he was just kind of an off-ball linebacker. I didn't realize he was basically a safety that could pass rush, and he's got a long in this modern league, in this modern football. He's kind of the prototype guy by the looks of it. These guys that can do it all. So exciting stuff and very well deserved for Micah. And you agree, or anyone you like more there?
He was so much more than what any of us thought he would be. Yeah, the way Dan Quinn used him was pretty special. Like it really was.
Well, Dan Quinn actually won the assistant coach of the year, which I didn't realize until we saw it tonight. And yeah, fair. That's pretty fair. He took a group of players that no one really thought were that good and made them pretty good. He got DeMarcus Lawrence going again. The only other guy you could really argue for defensive player of the year on a statistic basis, and if he had a couple more interceptions and broken the record, he probably gets it, was Trayvon Diggs. And that was Quinn doing that with Diggs, because I tell you, I watched Diggs last year. He was terrible. He was not a corner. He gave up. Now, I know he still gives up yards.
Still gives up yards.
And that's always going to be the case. When you play on the best player every week and then you try and bait for interceptions, which is what he does, and that's you've got to take that. You've got to take the good with the bad. And he's also in his second year at cornerback. Like, not many guys in their second year in the NFL will get that many interceptions. So we can cop that, but I think, they got most of them right. Comeback player of the year, Joe Burrow. Pretty fair. He injured himself pretty late in the season. To get back and play every game was pretty impressive. And then to play at that level, I think was pretty impressive too. So the only other guy you could really argue, Dak Prescott, was pretty good. But he fell apart late in the year. He wasn't nearly as good. If he'd continued his early season play, he probably would have been in line for MVP. But he didn't, and he dropped off. And Burrow was very consistent all year, and he had an injury a lot later in the season too. So just to get back was impressive in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say about any of the awards this year, because they were all pretty right.
Well, you got the only one I didn't love was Mike Rabel as coach. I know he was the number one seed in the AFC and they had some injuries, but I don't know. I think like someone like Shanahan was a better coach. Like, they had terrible injuries too, and no one thought they were any good. And he got them into the playoffs. And I know they're going to remember these are regular season awards. They actually vote for them before the playoffs start. So you like just because you got them to the NFC Championship game doesn't count. It doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers choked. It doesn't matter because it's already voted for by that point. And I don't know. I think I'm trying to think any other coaches. Probably not really. Like if Arizona continued and won a few more, like maybe won the division, you could probably look at Cliff Kingsbury. He was pretty good. I'm trying to think who else in the AFC. Sean McDermott from the Bills, pretty good effort. There's lots, but I guess you're the number one seed in the AFC and you have those injuries. It's hard to argue that Mike Rabel was the coach of the year. I just think I'm probably a bit jaded because he did lose first round of the playoffs, and that kind of tarnishes in your mind, even though it's not a part of it for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're talking about a postseason, and you get the entire playoffs tainting your point of view. Whereas if you had to vote at the end of the year, you got more than enough.
Yeah, I agree. The MVP was Aaron Rodgers. People are going to argue like he had 4,100 yards. He had 37 touchdowns, which wasn't the most touchdowns.
Wasn't the most yards either.
Wasn't near the most yards. He was about 10th for yards. He wasn't like put it into perspective. Dak Prescott had more passing yards than him. Joe Burrow had more. Kirk Cousins had more. So it was, Derek Carr had more. So it wasn't really like Matt Ryan had 50 yards less than him, and everyone's saying Matt Ryan had a terrible season. Now, Matt Ryan only threw 20 touchdowns and Aaron Rodgers threw 37, but he only threw the 4 interceptions, which was, I think, the reason they probably went with him. But then Kirk Cousins threw 33 touchdowns and only had 7 interceptions. So you can argue that he was pretty good.
Team didn't win.
Yeah, they didn't win enough. So you look at all the things. He was the number one seed in the NFC, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, the best rating by far, by about 15 points. He was the best rating, the most first downs. He was pretty good. My argument is it should have been Tom Brady.
I was going to say, if Tampa had
Yeah.
one more win and was the number 1 seed, it would have been Brady in a clean sweep.
Which is stupid because Brady had 1,200 more passing yards than him. 1,200, Richie. Just let that sink in.
What was his TD to pick, though? He had a lot of picks.
43
that's what hurt him.
touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So he had 8 more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers, which you think in the scheme of things, it's a lot more. 4 interceptions is an insanely low number.
That's being really careful with the football. As I said, if Tampa had won one more game was the number 1 seed, because we finished with the same amount of wins as the Packers with 13. So if they got to a 14th win and we blew a couple, so they had their chance, I reckon he probably would have won it, which is insane to say. But as I said, I don't have a problem with this.
I said I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Certainly, I would never lose sleep over it.
It's the low interceptions. For a
you
guy
ask
who qualified,
I'm giving it to Brady over Rodgers. If you ask me, right?
Yeah,
I'd probably even give it to Stafford. I'd give it to Stafford over Rodgers at this point. Stafford was 41 touchdowns. He had 17 picks, which is what hurt him. But
he
had almost 1,000 more yards than him. Like, yards are important. This is what annoys me. People go, "Oh, everyone gets big yards." So, well, they don't, because Ryan Tannehill only had 3,700 of them. So not everyone gets big yards. You know, everyone badmouths Ben Roethlisberger. He had more than Ryan Tannehill, and everyone says Ryan Tannehill was one of the best QBs in the league. So the
Who
numbers.
said that? I didn't say that.
Lots of people love Ryan Tannehill. No one really calls him the best in the league, but like Tua had almost 3,000 yards and he played half the game. So the yards are this. It is important. What's real fun is that Davis Mills had more passing yards than Lamar Jackson. That's thinking.
Wow.
Definitely didn't have rushing yards though, and definitely didn't have more touchdowns and had more interceptions. So, but yeah, I think I'm not going to get upset about it. If you ask me though, pick your MVP, it was Tom Brady for me, and that was before retirement, before the playoff, all that sort of stuff. It was Tom Brady if you ask me. And I guess that's a good lead on. It's a great segue, Richie, onto our final little segment. The rumors that Brady's not done. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I think we're both the same. You can read between the lines of his Instagram posts and all that sort of stuff. Maybe he's not. Maybe he'll come back. I don't know, but I'm not hedging my bets on him coming back. I think when Brady, he's not that sort of guy, because when he left New England, he just said, "I'm leaving New England. I want to keep playing." He doesn't retire and to go somewhere else. Everyone's like, "Oh, he only retired from Tampa." I'm like, "Well, did he? He said he was retiring from football, and thanked Tampa." So I tend to believe he's done. And I've heard no other wind of it at all. So I'm not buying it.
No, I'm not either. I think it's just articles for clicks, basically.
It'd be fun. Don't get me wrong. It'd be fun if you wound up at the 49ers or something.
The problem is, I don't know if people realize this, he's not a free agent.
No.
He's under contract. He's under contract with Tampa Bay for one more year for $8.9 million. Like, we were very sneaky. We snuck in a third year for absolutely nothing. We paid him 25 in 2020, 40 in 2021, and he's under contract in 2022 for $8.9 million. So he's not a free agent. He can't just go sign wherever he wants. So you'd have to do some sort of trade. And quite frankly, if I was Tampa, I'd fucking refuse. Because if he wants to play football anywhere, I want him playing for us.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because our broom closet is bare after Tom Brady.
Winston's coming back, man.
I swear, everyone, it's gone through the club to try and wind me up to ask me about Winston coming back to play at Tampa. Because the amount of guys who are doing it to me, I swear they're just trying to wind me up.
No, it's rumored. Like, it's he had his eye surgery. He's good now. Didn't you know?
No. I've been on that ride.
How angry would you be if Winston came back? How angry would you be?
You know what? I wouldn't be angry, but I'd be tempted to leave.
Yeah, that's fair.
They just can't bring him back.
I don't know. It'd be funny. God, I would laugh. I would laugh so hard. I'm waiting for the news to come up. Jameis Winston signs in Tampa. Because
hat off.
Ignore my phone call. You would not answer a phone call from me. You would just ignore me.
No, I'd take it and unleash so much hell that you'd be like, "Oh, this isn't fun like I'd hoped. I'm hanging up now."
It's always fun talking to you, Richie, angry or not. That's it. We both think Brady's done, and I'm with you. I don't think even if he's not done, I don't reckon Tampa Bay let him play anywhere else. And it would, you know what? Nor should they. They should say, "Yeah, stuff you." You're playing for us.
Before we go, can I give you some fun things to think about?
Yeah, hit me.
For the upcoming season. One, I just think we need to do a show in like 2 weeks just talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's a crazy market out there right now, and where potential landing spots, because there's so many new coaches and all these other things. There's so much going on. So we should do that.
Yep.
But can I just give you a couple of numbers to leave the show with?
Yeah, you can always give me something.
It's cap space. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So you tell me which of these fan bases are going to be the most happy when I run through this.
Okay.
Most amount of cap space in the NFL. Miami Dolphins, 60 million. Jaguars, 56 million. Chargers, 56 million.
Are you kidding me?
No. Cincinnati, 50 million. Jets, 48 million. Broncos, Jets, 48 million. Broncos, 38 million. Colts, 35 million. Seahawks, 34 million. The Commies, who are they? 31 million. Steelers, 28 million. Browns, 27 million. Bears, 25 million. Chargers, God.
The Bears are in the shit because they are a terrible team and they don't have a cap. Who are they paying, Khalil Mack?
25 mil. I think it gives you a breakdown their highest guys. Hang on.
Khalil Mack would be up there.
Here we go.
The D tackle, Hicks.
It is Mack, Quinn, Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair are the highest, and Eddie Goldman.
You know what that tells me? The fact that Cody Whitehair is their third highest. He's a solid center, but he's not highly paid. So they've got some crappy deals paying for.
If they cut Mac pre-June 1st, that will save them close to $18 million in an early cut.
Surely they don't.
Do you trade him? Get out from under it? They got cap space. Like, they're not in dire straits.
I think we've too good a player to give away. But they gave
what's average draft class cost you? Like $5 million?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not much.
10, yeah.
Yeah, so that leaves them roughly, 20 odd mil in thingy money. Now, flipping that just before we go, the worst cap situations, as I mentioned earlier, Saints are the worst, 42 million over the cap. The Packers are 30 million over the cap. That's why I think Rodgers is going. Cowboys 22 million over, Rams 21 million over, Vikings 16 million over. The Giants are $12 million over. That's unbelievable. Titans are 8 million over. The Falcons are 7 million over. The Bills are 6 million over. Then 49ers are about 4 million over, and then the Cardinals are some chump change over, like 800,000.
Do you know the thing about this all, Richie, though, is none of it matters because the salary cap is a myth. The Saints were 71 million over the cap last season and somehow gave Taysom Hill a massive deal and got under.
But that's the problem. But it's coming back to get them. They're just kicking it all down the road. It's still there because they're still 41 million over for this year. So they've got to play all these games again.
They got rid of 34 million today. So they're only 6 million over now. And they'll just cut someone. But the thing is, they can't sign anyone and they're not very good. So they've got to
sign. So you can't just cut one because then you don't have enough to even fill your roster out. But if they keep playing games like this, which just keeps kicking down the can, kicking, all you're getting back is like 5 to 10 million every year because you keep kicking it down. I reckon they got to eat it 1 year.
Be crap and then
and fix it because you can't keep doing this. Tampa did it when we had Gruden. Just every year we're over by miles, over playing games, restructuring this to get under, and it's always playing games, and we were not getting better. We're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. A little bit, constant until we fire him, and then we're terrible for ages until we got a good coach. But they're headed the same place. I've seen this movie. I know how it plays out. You're way better.
They've got
jettisoning it once.
Cowboys got old guys they pay too much money for. Like, I love Tyrone Smith, but he shouldn't be the second highest paid tackle in the league anymore. He doesn't play enough. He's injured. Zach Martin, they'll end up restructuring because Zach Martin's a good dude, and I guarantee you he'll do it. He'll restructure, but they also have tons of cap space from guys they've cut because they've given, Jalen Smith, they're paying $11 million off the cap. Because you overpaid him, then you had to cut him. But then it's going to mean like a guys like Leighton Vander Esch, who they want to re-sign. How do they re-sign these, tier 2 free agents to your team? And the more you lose them, the worse your team gets, and then you're relying on draft picks to replace them. It doesn't always work like that.
Yeah, I mean, quickly looking at you guys, like your cap number here, it's not base salary, so it's their cap number. It doesn't matter what they're actually getting paid because of pro-rata bonuses and all that stuff that most of us don't understand.
Yes.
Dak, his cap number is $34 million this year. DeMarcus Lawrence, $27 million. Amari Cooper, $22 million. Zach Martin, $20 million.
Cooper's one I think they might cut. And DeMarcus Lawrence, although he was very Lawrence.
Can I tell you why they're going to cut him pre-June 1st?
Because it will save him $17 million or something like that, isn't it?
Only costs him $6 million.
That's the thing. And he also, I think Cooper's a great player. I think he's a very good player, but how can you pay $27 million for a guy that doesn't even get you 1,000 yards?
Yeah, well, 22. So they have to get out from under that contract, and you can't trade that contract either because he's not good enough.
Yeah. Someone might give you like a 7th rounder or something, but no one wants to pay him $22 million. And
that's the problem. No one wants to take it on.
They'll wait for you to cut him.
Yeah,
look, I think anything will happen. I think I think knowing what the Cowboys do, they'll restructure and make it work. A lot of these teams will. The fact that the Giants are over is just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it is crazy how top-loaded these things are. So who was I up to? Zeke at $18 million.
Yeah,
They got Tyron Smith at 17.5, Collins at 15, Anthony Brown at 6. Then you got a handful that are around 5, 6, and then everybody else is basically $2 million or less.
In saying that, I'd pay Tyron Smith $17 million over Zeke $18 million any day of the fucking week.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Like you guys, like here's where the money is. It's Micah Parsons, $3.8 million. CeeDee Lamb, $3.8 million. Like rookies. Like that's where the money is, and it really is a stars and scrubs league more 100%. Than it ever has. And the current is why I think there's going to be another lockout because there is no room for a middle of the road player.
No,
there's just no space for them. It is all
a middle of the road veteran. You're either rookies or you're a star.
Yeah, and those middle of the road veterans now get signed after week 1, so they don't have to guarantee any of their money because of the rules about the minimum amounts you have to pay them. They just put them in the middle now and say, okay, if we sign him after week 1, we don't have to go and guarantee his contract if he gets hurt or if he just isn't what we'd hoped.
Well, the rookies deals need to go up. The rookie deals need to go up, and maybe you make it. Maybe it's only a 2-year deal for your first-round pick. So Micah Parsons, you don't get him for 5 years with a thing. After 2 years, you got to decide, okay, we're paying this guy because you're getting dudes in their prime for nothing.
Yeah,
it's the prime of their years. Not many of them get better after their first contract. Now they stay the same. Some of them they play at the same level, but not many of them go sign their first rookie deal and then go, I'm getting better now. They normally plateau, which is fine for some of them, or they drop. That's how it works.
Yeah,
because motivation leads.
The thing I can't believe with Zeke is how do you even restructure this guy? He's through to 2026.
Yeah, either have to.
Are you going to extend it through 2028?
Or he agrees to a restructure. This is why you don't pay fucking running backs, Rich. Ever.
But that's what I'm saying. How do you restructure that shit?
You have to cut him.
What year are you going to put it in?
You can't. You have to cut him and eat it, or you have to say to him, you have to take a pay cut or we're going to cut you. And you have to take a pay cut by
but you're not allowed. You're not allowed. You just have to. No, the money amount can't change.
Ah.
The cash money. So it's so you can't be bullied
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so you can't be bullied into signing a lesser deal to stay because you're desperate to stay in the NFL.
His guaranteed money was over. What's his cut?
No,
number?
He's got guaranteed money this year. Hang on, I just saw it.
I think it's over after next year. So what they'll do is they'll do some restructuring to get under, and then they'll ride him for another year, and then make.
So he's guaranteed to make $12.4 million this year, and if you cut him, it's a $30 million dead hit for this year.
There's no way they cut him, and there's no way anyone trades him. He's going to play for the Cowboys.
There's no guaranteed money after next year, and the cap hits slowly go down. So it'll be 11 million cap hit next year instead of 30 in 2022. Then 6 in dead money carries into 24, and 1.7 million of dead carries into 25. So he will definitely be playing for you guys on that number, because 30 million in dead money, nobody is no one's absorbing that. So you may as well have him on your roster. But you can get away from him next year. But even then, it's still close to $20 million in dead money spread out over 3 years. Like, don't pay running backs, kids. Like, fuck me. GM course 101. Just don't pay him.
Same discussion about McCaffrey next year. He's in the exact same position.
Gets injured all the time.
Stop paying running backs. Like, it sucks, and it sucks to be a running back, but they are the biggest drop off, and unfortunately, the easiest to find. They're the easiest every year. Like Javonte Williams went in the 3rd round, didn't he? For the Broncos, maybe the 2nd round, late 2nd. I can't even remember. Get that guy. Just try and find that guy every year.
Get Chubb in the 2nd round.
Yeah,
With the Browns.
The Niners. Now, the Niners are prone to getting good, having running backs play well for them. But
that's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's system and it's O-line.
Agreed.
Like, I'm not going to say something stupid like I could run behind that O-line, because that's just dumb. I'm not going to say that. But any NFL back can.
I agree. Pollard shows he can, and he's more dynamic.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing. The money needs to go into the line so you can plug any idiot in at running back. You just draft one every year. It's like they talk about recruiting in college. It's like you recruit a quarterback every single year. So, well, why? You've already got one, and he's probably going to be a 4-year starter. Yeah, but something might happen.
Mm-hmm.
Running backs are the same.
Might be better.
Just take one in the 3rd round, 4th round, every year.
2nd, 3rd, or 4th
every
round.
year. Just go find one. They're fucking everywhere.
Half the guys undrafted free agents half the time end up being good when they get opportunity. Like,
yep. And you know how long they're good for? 3 years.
Yep. And they fade away.
Then you get the next.
Those guys get drilled in college as well. You got to understand, these guys, the low end picks played 5 years of college, and they're busted up. They've played because I guarantee you, college players don't care. College teams do not care. They're like, give this guy every carry possible. We don't care.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Because as a college coach, you're there to win, and you know that kid's leaving in 2 years anyway. So,
well, it's going to be an interesting off season, Richie. I said, so look, the plan going forward now. We're not going to be. I'm not going to guarantee you we're a weekly show for a few weeks, probably a couple of months, but anything big that comes up, we will be doing shows sporadically, but just it won't be every single week. Don't be sitting on.
It's leading into free agency
on Monday night waiting for us, because it's probably not going to come up.
It'll be things like leading into free agency, new league year. Yeah, all those sorts of things.
You'll certainly be hearing from us and seeing us, but it won't be a consistent weekly basis for a few weeks. Instead, we're in the middle of a heated football season, which has got, again, by heated I mean close, and the temperature. It's a nightmare to play in, and it's pretty busy at the moment. So we're doing that, but we will come on when big news breaks. I'll be certainly coming on and doing little quick shows and stuff like that. So look out for that. And I wanted to thank all our sponsors for the year. Speaking to them all, they're super happy to continue doing the sponsorship next season. So I really appreciate them all. Jake and Darren from J&D's Breaks Down Under, Burnley Brewing, who have been such a long time supporter of us now, and do a great job, and picking up some more beer from this week. They just they harass me to come and pick up beer, so they're awesome. Dark Horse Electrics, Dylan, who's not only a big supporter does a lot of work for me, he's a massive supporter of the show, always listens and tunes in, and is a sponsor as well. And obviously US Sports Gear, Richie, which is your business, and I guess now's my opportunity to thank you, mate. It's always a pleasure doing the podcast. It's been the end of the season, and I love doing it with you. I look forward to it every week. It's getting harder to find the time, but the one thing we always do is, as soon as we get on, we just start talking football, and we're happy for that. Hour and a half or whatever. Sometimes 3 hours. We sit there afterwards talking shit. But it's really enjoyable. So I thank you for your time away from your beautiful family and your commitment, mate. It goes a long way, and I love doing it every week. And the sponsors goes a long way to helping us keep continuing to grow, and hopefully keep getting closer to achieving our dream of this being somewhat a full-time job. But until then, I just love doing it, mate, and I enjoy it every week. So thank you.
My pleasure, mate.
And everyone out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, listening, however you do it. Thanks for commenting, winding me up. Thanks to Skinny for sending in messages about the Steelers every week. I can say one thing is I really enjoy the community. I've got guys who have been listening to me and Richie since we were at SEN that still send me messages all the time. You know, JA over in Ireland messages me all the time. Just a real decent human being, and people that have been like, they almost feel like part of our family now. They've been around so long. So thank you to all the people that tune in. We said we'll probably be back in a couple of weeks. I'd say we'll probably have a couple of weeks off and do a show, talk some quarterbacks, talk some free agency coming up and that sort of stuff. But until then, Richie, thank you as always, mate. And I'll see you next time.
Pleasure, mate.